Kill Sabine Wren and Ezra Bridger. Then take your place in the coming Empire.
You won't help?
Your ambition drives you in one direction. My path lies in another.
I've located Ezra Bridger. Sending his coordinates now.
One parting lesson, Shin. Impatience for victory will guarantee defeat.
Have you ever considered whether the calling that Baylan'S Skoll feels has resonated with others across vast swaths of time? And if so, who were these individuals? And what common goals did they pursue throughout history? Moreover, how could an entity of darkness persist for over 100,000 years lurking in the shadows? Through some research and theorizing, we've uncovered insights that may shed light on these questions and offer an intriguing possibility. Before we dive into this theory, two quick things. This video does have timestamps, so if you feel ready to move on to another segment, feel free to skip around. Secondly, I really appreciate you checking out this video, and I'd love to make more long-form content for you. But for me to do that, I need you to show support for long-form videos. Smash that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and definitely engage in the comment section. So let's help the channel grow, let's help out these long-form videos, and without any further ado, in today's video, we're going to be discussing one of the most expansive theories about the mysterious ancient organizations known as the Stargazers, the gods-driven Baylan'S Skoll, and the Celestial known as Abeloth. And yes, this theory will span the entirety of recorded Star Wars history, but amidst that 100,000 year span, there might be something more important to uncover that ties everything together. During the events of Ahsoka, as we all know, Baylan'S Skoll states that he's looking for a greater power, and while looking for that greater power, he pairs along with the Night Sister Morgan Elsbeth, who raises a seemingly dark apprentice in Shin Hati, and his journey, as we know, takes him to the ancient planet of the former ancient Night Sister stronghold, known as PERIDEA. And while in PERIDEA, his intuition deepens as he starts to at least elaborate that he feels this calling present on this planet. Now, it's worth noting that his demeanor before PERIDEA is more goal-oriented, but upon his arrival at PERIDEA, his focus becomes sharpened, and his confidence that he is where he needs to be seems ever more emboldened. So bold that he effectively abandons his apprentice. Now, many people have their own speculation as to what this calling is, and this theory deep dive will certainly explore what it could be, but also how it could have been experienced at some point in Legends by others. And for the first time, we really have some truly compelling Star Wars evidence that can possibly point us in the right direction. So as we move forward in the theory, some things to keep bookmarked in the back of your mind. With the last we see of Baylan'S Skoll, he stands atop of the Mortis god statue in PERIDEA, and notably the head of the daughter is missing. Now, the head of the daughter, keep in mind, could be missing for various reasons other than it was just being destroyed, and the act may serve as a specific purpose. So let's take this theory to another place and reach back hundreds of thousands of years in Star Wars and examine the Celestials, including not only the father, son, and daughter, but also the often overlooked entity known as the Mother, or as she'll later be known as, Abeloth. The Mother, also known as Abeloth's origin stories and her aspirations are crucial to grasp for this theory. Allegedly, the Mother was initially created as a servant some 100,000 years ago, and her mission then, as a servant, was to essentially be a sort of caretaker to the family, and in this role, she eventually becomes a mother of sorts. Now, upon appointment, the Mother was a mortal being while the others were not. In her time of being this caretaker, she aged and aged, and at some point found herself becoming old. And while the Celestials argued about the Mother's mortality, the Mother took it upon herself to drink from the font of power, the son's elixir, and swim in the pool of knowledge, the daughter's elixir. This in turn corrupts the Mother and led to the father taking his two children and fleeing. In irony, the Mother, who is now known as Abeloth, bathed in these elixirs so that she could be with her family forever, but in the pursuit of immortality, was corrupted by powers far beyond her comprehension. Ironic indeed, and very thematic within the Star Wars universe. In this exile, where she suffered every day with her greatest fear having come true, that of abandonment, Abeloth was now an evil, destructive spirit who preyed on these same types of chaos. Understanding Abeloth's theme gives us evidence beyond just the calling, but the theme of abandonment and the family are even greater hints, and an even greater overarching theory that will tie up at the end of this video. Very important to remember. So segueing from the backstory of Abeloth, this narrative intersects with the ancient legends of the Jedi Order, particularly their initial existence in the Titan system, at around a time period between 35,000 to 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. So in essence, about 70,000 years departed from the creation of Abeloth. For those of you that remember, the Mandalorian and Grogu visit Tython to find the Seeing Stone a few years after the Battle of Yavin. But what we see is a barren wasteland.
Looks like that's the magic rock I'm supposed to take you to down there.
Well, 25,000 years ago, Tython was a much different place, teeming with wild kinds of life and settled by new Jedi and Force-sensitive people. In fact, upon settling, there were already ancient ruins there. Again, very important to remember. The Tython system was settled by the Jedi through the Tho-Yor. The Tho-Yor were these mysterious pyramid-like ships that appeared to Force-sensitives across the galaxy and transported them to Tython. All these Tho-Yor would settle in different places and let these Force-sensitives out on Tython. So these Jedi that arrived on Tython, well, they didn't arrive there by their own means, and as such, the Jedi, while they had a means to traverse their system, did not have a means to enter into hyperspace and explore. So naturally, some became curious, while others spurned the idea of reaching beyond. Specifically, the then Jedi Order frowned upon it, and now, so this perception of hyperspace travel and want of hyperspace travel, or a means of opening portals in other places, becomes a focal point in the next portion of this theory.
This hyperdrive blows are gonna be pieces of us in 3 different systems.
What'd you do?
I bypassed the compressor.
Huh.
These events eventually intertwine with the origins of Lenore Brock and her brother Dalian Brock. Dalian Brock was born into a Force-sensitive family some 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. He rejects his inherent sensitivity, adding to his complex character. Instead of wielding a Jedi blade, he uses a blaster, and during his pilgrimage and training on Tython, he kills another student, and then disappears by staging his own death. 9 years later, he reappears, and during that time becomes associated and highly affiliated with a group known as the Stargazers. Remember at the time I mentioned the Jedi were not condemned, but they didn't have the technology to leave Tython. Thus, the Stargazers and Dalian Brock were a group of people, some Jedi, some not, were all looking to leave Tython, or at least explore what was beyond their system. But they were branded by others as cultish, and the Jedi didn't want to affiliate with them. Now we're still doing some research as to why the Jedi didn't want to explore the idea of toying with ancient hypergates, but one reason could be for fear of what lay on the other side, as we'll come to see. Dalian, though, is in pursuit of opening this gate, for power or whatever other reason. However, his journey ends tragically, as when he tries to kill his Jedi sister that is preventing him from opening the hypergate, he is killed by his sister in a violent exchange. And it's worth noting that after his death, his body was not to be found and disappeared without a trace. So why defy your kin? Why die at their hands? All for unlocking the mysteries of a universe that's cold to you? It seems there was a calling in place here. So to further understand the motivations of Dalian Brock and the Stargazers, I did some more digging to understand exactly who inspired these Stargazers, people like Dalian Brock, to be so bold as to defy all societal norms in pursuit of something greater than themselves. And this is when I discovered the story of OSAMAEL Orr, a Force-sensitive frontiersman born and residing on Tython around 35,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, which is 10,000 years before the birth of Dalian and the Stargazers making their move on the Hypergate and the old city of Tython like we just discussed. Having been one of the original settlers of Tython, Orr was driven heavily to research the ancient ruins on the planet, and to the dismay of others as well. Driven by exploration and a calling, sought to conduct more expeditions while others did not join him, thinking he was crazy. Finally, he decided to go by himself into the ruins of the old city on Tython, and he never returned again. Luckily, some 10,000 years later, the Stargazers found Orr's diary in the depths of the old city and became inspired to find out that his journals detailed a technology and a power far greater than what was available to the Jedi. Hence, Orr became an inspiration, a sort of martyr for those who would become eventual Stargazers, despite their morally gray nature. And during a quick memory refresh through Google search, I noted that Orr clearly felt extremely compelled, and some said driven to insanity to discover more. But again, it's the same question we're asking ourselves about Dalian Brock. It's a similar question we're asking ourselves about BAYLAN'S Skoll, 25,000 years across Star Wars mythos. Why did Orr leave his family for certain death? Could we say that something great was calling to him? And what was promised at the end of this fruitful mission to Orr, to Baylan's Skoll, and to the Stargazers?
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
What happened to him?
He became so powerful. The only thing he was afraid of was losing his power, which eventually, of course, he did.
And this inspiration not only perpetuates its way into the mission of the Stargazers and their leaders, but also transcends, again, that 25,000-year time span leading to Baylan's Skoll. And in between all the doubt that everyone felt about these two people, they still felt that calling, strongly enough to make these rash actions. This concept of calling is paramount to this theory as a whole, because Abeloth employs this same method. It's her modus operandi. And there's good reason to believe why Abeloth could also be behind the scenes, making those same callings to those like Baylan's Skoll and Dalian Brock. In fact, in Star Wars Legends, Abeloth reaches out to people like Jacen Solo, and eventually even has confrontations with Luke Skywalker. So let's reiterate Abeloth's goals, because she has several important ones. Who she calls to is important. One could argue that Baylan and Dalian are in fact fanatical people, abandoning their loved ones, risking death to find their journey, hearing a higher calling, having a history of great pain and loss. These are the kinds of people who would absolutely fall prey to a darker entity. That willingness to believe, not in the darkness, that their task is a deity in itself, and their goal is so important, their Messiah complex is so strong, that their belief must be true. It has to be true, and it will come true. Abeloth needs to prey on these people and call out to these kinds of people because they're susceptible. But why call out to them? If she's so strong, couldn't she simply appear to do her bidding? Well, not so much, so let's add some context to that comment. In Abeloth's backstory before the Skywalker saga, she's condemned to a planet of Legends content by a host of different devices. Every time Abeloth is about to break free, essentially, the Celestials go there and prevent her from leaving. So Abeloth, who's essentially confined to this realm, has been known to reach out to different factions in the galaxy across thousands of years in an effort to be broken out of this prison complex that she's being held in. In my theory, I personally believe that Abeloth is probably not only beckoning Baylan's Skoll, but has historically also beckoned the Stargazers and almost achieved her goal doing so. In fact, there's another significant piece of evidence in Legends that actually almost confirms my theory to be true as it revolves around the Hypergate the Stargazers were also looking for. It comes in the form of lore from Star Wars: The Old Republic. During the Old Republic, there's a moment around 3,000 years before the Battle of Yavin where a faction opens up a Stargate, and upon opening it, evil creatures and entities come through. And yes, you heard correctly, a Hypergate that we can assume is similar, if not the same, to the one that the Stargazers sought out on the old city of Tython 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Or, at least in this context, 22,000 years before this Old Republic moment. So it's safe to say that there's a possibility that if the Stargazers open this gate, the same thing would have happened 25,000 years ago too, and perhaps this is what the Jedi at the time feared, bringing Abeloth to an unprepared Jedi Order on Tython. And this all again ties together into the current times of Baylan and PERIDEA. Remember, this planet that Abeloth has been condemned to is not known in the current canon since Legends were scrapped. So could it be that Abeloth is actually the one who's really waiting where the MORTIS gods are pointing? It's all a game of Abeloth. And there's some important things to consider here about PERIDEA that can help us understand a little bit more about where Baylan and the Stargazers were being called to. Where the MORTIS gods originally existed in the Clone Wars on the planet MORTIS, there was no hint of another faction. There just simply existed those Celestials.
Are you the one?
What? Did you hear that?
I didn't hear anything.
Are you the one?
Hello. Who are you?
I am daughter. Are you the one?
The one what?
I will take you to him.
Him who?
Did you bring us here?
Only he can help you. There is little time. Follow me. We must have shelter by nightfall.
And we thought the planet was strange. How about this one?
On PERIDEA though, we have these Night Sisters as evidenced by their ancient statues and tombs, but also statues of the MORTIS gods. Could it be that Abeloth, in her longing for her family, created these statues in her torment? Could Abeloth have broken the statue of the daughter since the daughter died for Ahsoka? This is a theory that I would entertain simply on the merits of the deception of Abeloth, and the fact that the Mortis gods would certainly not exist on a planet so barren and full of death, and the father, the son, and the daughter would certainly not coexist with the mother on the same planet. And since when do the Night Sisters abandon their worlds? We've seen firsthand that they would rather die than flee. So is the stage set? And how great is this setup? It's important to remember that Abeloth wants to end the galaxy at large and start anew with her own controlled version of her family. She in essence has already set the stage, or rather, perhaps the stage has been set for her. So what is this stage? What is this clue? Well, we have Baylan, the Stargazer and loyal devout person who will bring Abeloth into the galaxy, Ahsoka and Shin, who are both viable to become the new daughter, and Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost on PERIDEA, the one who I believe could very well be the son. This would fulfill Abeloth's longing for a new family, and it seems like she's laying the perfect trap for our heroes. In the vast expanse of the Star Wars galaxy, where time is measured in eons and legends are born from the whispers of ancient beings like Abeloth, the threads of destiny intertwine in ways both profound and mysterious. And as we go deeper into the annals of Star Wars history, tracing the paths of heroes and villains across these epics, we begin to see the different web of connections that binds everything together. The mother transforming into the evil celestial as Abeloth, the calling to the Stargazers, Dalian Brock and OSAMAEL, and the future calling to BAYLAN'S Skoll. And again, at the forefront of the theory lies the figure of BAYLAN'S Skoll, whose quest for power and purpose has led him to this ancient planet. But what's driving him there, and what role does he play in this grand tapestry of fate? I think we may have just actually uncovered it. To understand his journey, we have to first look at the lore of the Stargazers, a faction of explorers and seekers who are drawn to the mysterious cosmos. And among their ranks, as said before, Dalian, whose obsession with unlocking the secrets of hyperspace travel mirrors Baylan's own quest for knowledge. They both represent a convergence of ambition and curiosity, a convergence that may hold the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. And this conversion, this ambition, this curiosity, has possibly led them to Abeloth. And lurking in those shadows is Abeloth, the malevolent celestial whose origins stretch back to the dawn of time itself. Once a caretaker, her fall from grace has left her twisted and corrupted, but her thirst for power consuming all who dare cross her path. It is Abeloth that's beckoning to Baylan and Dalian. And now with this theory in place, we have more evidence that it's indeed her, and not just whispers of Star Wars rumors. So as we weave together the strands of this intricate tapestry, we begin to see the patterns emerge, the cycles of light and darkness, creation, destruction that spans the ages. From the ancient ruins of Tython to the desolate plains of PERIDEA, the echoes of history reverberate through time, shaping the destiny of all those who walk in its hallowed halls.
Truly wonderful, the mind of a child.
What is this place?
A conduit through which the entire force of the universe. Luminous beings are we, not this fruit platter. Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
What you need, you already have. Unfortunately, you seem to be letting it all go.
I won't let him lose his way. Not like I did.
The Force is what gives the Jedi its power. It's an energy created by all living things. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together.
So as we stand on the precipice of a new era in Star Wars saga, let us heed the lessons of the past and let's follow our heroes as they embrace the challenges of the future. Because in this journey of discovery for characters like BAYLAN'S Skoll, Dalian Brock, and OSAMAEL, there's wisdom to be found, even amidst their darkness, and perhaps there's some strength to be gained. So yes, fellow younglings, this really was a long theory video. What do you think of this theme of calling, spanning 100,000 years? Do you think the Stargazers were falling prey to the same thing that Baylan may be? And being that they both disappeared, could they have been consumed by something else? And is Baylan's Skoll headed for a similar fate? I'm not sure about you, but I'm definitely ready to dive into the insane conversations we could have about this theory. And for any clarity you might be able to offer on this vast Legends content, definitely chime in the comments below. Feel free to add any corrections you might have, because there's certainly a lot of Legends information to be processed. Let's smash that like button to help this video out. Don't forget to subscribe. And remember to steer clear of any intense callings. And remember, may the Force be with you always.